my name's Khevna and this is my story. I remember walking up to my high school doors, ready to put a smile on my face for the first person I would encounter. My life revolved around pleasing other people. I always wanted to make everyone happy. And whenever I saw someone who was disappointed in me or who wasn't happy with the way I was, it used to just be so discouraging. And I think this goes way back to my childhood. As a child, I used to always want to make sure my parents were happy with who I was, and I guess there's always a lot of difficulties growing up, and I always felt responsible for making sure I was the one who could fix all things. So it didn't take me long to realize that I couldn't be perfect, and around this time my parents got separated. I think this is a lot for me to handle because it just really showed me that I couldn't hold things together and I couldn't be responsible for making everyone happy at home. This is actually around the time when I first learned about Jesus, and I grew up in a religious family and as a Hindu, I went to temple, I knew all these prayers and rituals, but it wasn't really something that I really cared about or something that I was passionate about. It was just something I did because my family did. And during this time of chaos and frustration and I guess a lot of bitterness because I didn't feel accepted at home and I didn't feel loved by my family, was when I was really looking for answers and really questioning what love was and why I cared so much about what people thought of me. And somebody started telling me about Jesus, and I started to learn about who he was and just learning about God's love for me and how he desired for me to be in a relationship with him and not just as a religion where I had to do things for him. And with this information, I actually decided to give my life to Christ and follow him, but I had to learn so much about what it actually meant to be accepted by Christ. So I started high school, and I love high school. It was a great time of my life. I made lots of friends, and I really tried to do well. So I did well in school. I joined a lot of extracurriculars and loved being a leader at school. And I got a job, and I used to do a lot of volunteer work. So most people would look at my life and say it was pretty perfect. I don't think there was much in my life that I really didn't have according to what people noticed around me. But at the same time, I kept trying to do these things and trying to be good and be perfect, really for people's approval and people to accept me and to love me. And I started to realize how unsatisfactory this was, and I really didn't know what to do to make that change. And I kept trying because I kept thinking that if I kept trying to get people to approve of me and accept me, eventually I would feel loved. But then again, somebody or the other would be disappointed and it would hurt. And I guess this is when I really, at the end of grade 12, I really felt like I hit a wall. I felt like I was so tired of doing good and so tired of trying to be this perfect person that I wasn't. So I started doing the opposite things. I started smoking and I started drinking, thinking that things being perfect didn't matter, so I would try to do other things. And after a while, I realized that just made me feel worse. I didn't feel happy or satisfied doing things. I didn't feel happy partying and drinking and doing things that I thought were wrong because I really did care what people thought about me. So I started feeling like I was living two lives and neither of them satisfied me. And I think it was that summer where God had to really teach me and show me how much he cared for me. And I think the most startling thing was this realization that it was because I wasn't perfect that Jesus had to die for me, and it was because I could never be perfect that Jesus died for me. And this blows my mind because I keep thinking God chose me because I was perfect, or God desired me because I was a good person. And God really had to show me that he loved me for who I was, and he loved me just the way I was, and I didn't have to prove myself to him. And that realization that love has just drastically changed my life because I live my life and I still doing the same things I used to and being involved in school, and I love people, but it's different with that expectation of not looking for people to be accepted, but looking at Christ and looking at what he's done for me and knowing that he loves me and he accepts me for who I am. And that's the most beautiful thing in my life right now, and it's something that I guess I love sharing with people because of the desire that we all have a lot of times to feel accepted and loved by people. And that desire is there, and ultimately Jesus Christ is the only one who can really fulfill that expectation we have of being truly loved and truly accepted.